Hey, this is a podcast. No, wait, it's a comedy podcast. Well, we tried to make it a comedy podcast, and it's not meant to offend anyone. So don't get offended, okay? And wait, there's something else. Oh, yeah, yeah. Listener discretion is advised.
Audiomatic presents Our Last Week.
Hi, Kunal.
Hi, Pal.
Hi. It's a cloudy morning in London.
Oh, it is
How
it?
is it over there? Yeah.
It's a normal sunny day, summer's day in Bombay.
You know, I'm currently homeless in Bombay, right? I don't have a home.
Yes, you don't. You're always welcome to stay. Well, not in my home, but like in my
Yeah.
vicinity. I'll find you a flat somewhere here. There's a
I like the main detail there is not in my home.
not in my
That's the
home,
main detail. I like you a lot, but just not in my house.
not in my
Just
house.
uh, just nearby.
Yeah,
Here's a
there's a
website. It's called
yeah,
Airbnb.
yeah.
Yeah.
You must check it out.
You know, actually, I want to ask about this because people always say, like any time you are in, like when you meet people in any part of the world, right? Say
Hmm.
you're visiting. Like I had some shows in Oslo and I
Hmm.
met this lovely person in Oslo and he was like, anytime you're in Oslo, please stay in my house.
Hmm. Hmm.
And obviously, people say that, then no one takes you up on it, right? Like,
Right.
what if I went back to Oslo with all my things and said, okay, Krista, I'm here
Yeah.
now. You said, now I've come. So what is better? Is it better to do it the way you're doing it, which is, see, you're most welcome if you're back in Oslo. You can't stay in my house,
Hmm.
which is like be clear up front. Or do you go with that socially polite thing of, you're most welcome to stay, huh? If you're in Bombay, just stay in my
No,
house.
you should not offer. You should not offer only. You
You
should
shouldn't
never offer.
offer only.
Yeah.
But it'll be an awkward silence because see if the other person offers, right? If the other person's like, if you're ever in London, your home is my home.
Yeah.
And then they expect you to say if you're ever in Bombay, but you don't say it, then that gap becomes a little tricky.
So what you
That
should
silence is a little tricky.
so I think how you're playing it is great. Is to stay homeless. You don't really have a home.
So you
Like
can't invite anyone.
you can't invite. It's like
Yeah.
I spend my time between the
Yeah.
UK, Bombay, Calcutta. I don't really have a home, no base. I'm a vagabond.
No base.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'd love to have you over, but I just don't have any place to have you over.
And the guy's like, he's been saying that he's between homes for 7, 8 years. It's been,
Yeah.
like he's been for 10 years, he's been saying it. Bhagat never has anything. Kunal, in other news,
Hmm.
there's an Apple store. India's first Apple store is opening in Bandra Kurla complex, Mumbai. And the head of Apple, Tim Cook, is flying down.
Okay.
And he's going to meet Prime Minister Modi and inaugurate the store. Are you excited that Apple is opening its first official store in India?
No, not really. We've had Apple products for the last 20 years, so I don't know. I mean, what is the big. Like, it's a store, I guess you could go to the store and you could. But whatever. I mean, it's like, how is it a big deal? They're still selling us the same products, right?
Do you remember when the Apple store was like a big thing? Like the Apple store, when they opened in New York, I think it was 2005 6.
Right.
When Steve Jobs is still alive, he said, we'll redefine the retail experience, and it was people, and you've done it, I've done it. People like to hang out in different Apple stores around the world. It's cool, white and glass, and you just like touch all these laptops, and there are all these cool looking people with headsets walking around to help you. And it was supposed to redefine retail, which it did, right? Like even now, when you go to an Apple store in a big world city, people are just sort of like, it's almost becomes a destination to visit. And when Steve Jobs died, if you remember, people put flowers outside Apple stores all across the world. I feel like Bombay is getting it like on the wrong end of the retail experience,
Hmm.
because now retail has all moved online.
Hmm.
Like the Steve Jobs idea of the retail shop becoming like a place to hang out. That it's like a it's like a cool place where you want to be seen. That is over, sort of.
Yeah.
And that's when Apple is opening in Bombay, on the wrong end of history. And I feel
Yeah.
like we in India get a lot of things on the wrong end of history.
We get
And
it
what I'm
late. Yeah.
thinking of is like bands. Yeah, bands, for example. They
Hmm.
come a little past their prime. Like everything happens. I mean, I know we are an important country now, but we get a lot of stuff just a little past their
Sell.
hipster date.
They sell by.
Excel date, exactly. Except maybe Justin Bieber, because we got Justin Bieber fairly in his prime, I think.
Well, we got the physical presence of Justin Bieber. He wasn't really singing, so I don't know if it counts
Okay.
because it's like, I mean, what you've come for is to sing, right? And if you just come and then you're
Yes,
on stage
yes.
and then you lip sync and you leave, then you haven't done the thing that you're known for. So it's like an Apple store opening without any products in it. It's just a building and there are some people, but we don't have any stuff here. We don't keep anything and we don't sell anything. So that was the equivalence of Justin Bieber coming to India.
And do you do you think Justin Bieber will return and sing past his prime? Like, do you think he didn't sing because he came too early and he realized this is India, I can't come in my prime here.
Yeah.
So I'll play you recorded songs. When I'm past my prime, I'll come and sing normally.
Yeah. No, the thing is that, like, I think his target audience were like 15 to 18 or 15 to 20-year olds. And I mean, he's a talented guy and all of that. It's just that when he comes in 2060 or whatever it is, and these guys are all like
Yeah,
54,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, then he could really sing Sorry, that song would really make a lot more sense then.
I mean, if you remember, we've the bands I've seen in Bombay, I've had really good times at concerts. I've seen Axl Rose, I have seen Dire Straits, I have seen Pink Floyd, but these were all men in their late 50s to early 60s.
Yeah.
Their influence on me was when I was in school and college, and when I got to see them live in Bombay, I was a late middle-aged adult,
Hmm.
and so were they. I mean,
I
when
actually
Axl
much
Rose,
prefer
when
it.
he,
I much prefer it. Like, I can't tell you how much I prefer it when they come later. Like, say I saw Rolling Stones, and Rolling Stones have been
yes,
old for about 40 years now. They've been old for the longest time because they're the eternal
correct,
old people, right? So, like, even if you saw them
yes,
20 years ago, they were still fucking old bastards. So, and we did see them
yes,
20 years ago, when they came on that tour. And then recently we saw U2, and then again you're seeing 60-year
correct,
olds belt out these songs, and they still did a great job. What I love is that the whole audience is also old people. It's like all 45,
yes,
55-year olds. It's such a lovely thing because like that exuberance of youth is not there anymore. That unnecessary shouting and that unnecessary jostling. Everyone was like, it was very mellow. People just walked in, they strolled into the stadium, they strolled out of the stadium. People were more afraid of breaking bones and stuff like that. Like, everyone was like, listen, I'm not here to jostle and all. I just want to listen to Bono. I just want to listen to, and it was lovely because we, like, it just seemed a little more civilized. It wasn't, there was no pushing and shoving and like you go for one of these concerts, it's all just, yeah, it was lovely. I much prefer it. So I would say I don't have a problem. See, because music, if it's good, is kind of timeless, right? I mean, and these guys can still sing.
yes,
So if they come late, it's okay. We're still listening to the music. Just like, I would say, don't come in your prime over here because it gets too
don't
hectic.
come,
And
don't
and
come.
if you
It's
come in
too
your
much.
prime now, I will not be going for that because it's too much. It's too much. I can't deal with it. I need you to be past your sell by date, and then I can experience it in the calmness of that environment. I can't go to it if it's the hot new thing to go to. It's very, very difficult for me to access.
Very much along the lines of what you're saying. When I saw Axl Rose, the day I saw him, and Bombay is one of the best places to watch a concert in, because there's usually, and I've seen concerts in different parts of the world. I saw David Bowie once in New Jersey. I saw Coldplay in New York. And the thing is that there, what happens is that whatever's on the ticket is what you get, right? The great thing about an open field in Bombay is usually there is some sort of a ticket screw up. There's either Wi-Fi is not working, something, and you might, if you're lucky, get much better access to the Rockstar than you originally intended.
Yeah.
So what happened with Axl Rose is that they had created a VVVIP section
Yeah.
right up in front of Axl Rose, which included dining. So people were coming and giving you dinner in fancy sort of thing. And Axl Rose is a man who's seen everything, I mean, he's been in a hotel room, I'm sure, in an orgy with a snake, while they have thrown a bison out of the window. Like he's seen whatever life had to show him. But he's never seen coming out, to sing Paradise City or whatever, and seeing the front thing, instead of like young men and women shouting and taking off their clothes, diners. People sitting and having a full dinner. He's never seen that. With the real audience behind that. So that obviously, and he was a man in his mid-60s, and he was having Alka-Seltzer because his stomach was off. So in the middle of all this, he said, what the fuck is this? Why are there diners over here? So they removed all those tables, so people in the back rows who hadn't paid so much could walk right up in front. I could see Axl Rose having a digestive medicine in front of a piano, which no other city will allow, because no other city, other cities have had concert organization for hundreds of years. Right, so they don't allow for these little bits of chicanery.
Yeah.
Whereas in Bombay, if you go to a concert, would you agree, anything can happen?
Also, what happens is that there's always that chance of being bumped up to the next thing. Like you might meet someone, you might know someone, some organizer. Hey, what are you doing here? You come with me. I have one. So then it becomes like one of those. And then you'll wear some other purple color wristband, and then you'll be allowed into another section, and you say thank you so much, and then you'll be taken to another section. So I'm saying these opportunities also do arise sometimes, which is nice. I do remember that
nice,
recently at I think it was the Post Malone concert. Where they had this VIP section, which was a separate stage. It was like the main stage, and then there was this side stage where they had beverages and food and all of that. But what happened is that the whole thing collapsed with the weight of the VIPs. The whole thing fell.
These things happen.
Yeah. So then I think that like like ants, they had to kind of just leave that area and then mingle with the rest of the common folk or whatever it is, and so that whole VIP area kind of it kind of collapsed under their weight. So so these things happen. Like the stage doesn't exist anymore, or otherwise suddenly the police will arrive.
But what happens, Kunal, is that what's amazing about Bombay is that it'll happen. So the stage collapses, right? But what'll happen is, say you've paid for VIP, but suddenly, because there's no stage, the organizers will say, we'll tell Post Malone, listen, we have no place to put these VIPs. They're going to share the green room with you. And suddenly you're in the green room with Post Malone. Suddenly you're performing with Post Malone because they have no other place to put you. You know? So these are not things that you can get in concert life anywhere else in the world. In fact, if you are a foreign listener, I highly recommend you watch a Western big band, a well-known global band in India. Because anything can happen. You can have a 2,000 rupee ticket, but suddenly you're sitting on Beyonce's lap. So these things can happen, which is not possible in other parts of the world.
You're building it up too much, Pal.
No, not that, but you're sitting on a drummer's lap. You know what I mean? Like something can happen.
So let's get into a break.
Yeah, let's do a break. This is a break.
This is the break.
This is a break.
Welcome to the break.
What was it earlier? Not a break.
That was not a break.
This is a break. During this break, we would like to advertise a product.
What should we advertise?
Hands.
Hands. Yeah.
Hands. Without it,
It's a little tougher.
it's difficult.
Yeah.
Get hands.
Yeah.
Live life to the fullest. So, if you don't want to listen to shit ads like this,
Don't listen to these ads.
do something with your life.
Yeah.
Go to patreon.com,
Yeah.
where you will not have to listen to us talking nonsense.
Yeah, and you don't have to listen to this garbage part of the podcast.
This garbage part. You can listen to other garbage parts of the podcast.
and you can listen to it ad free.
For you to be on Patreon, get special episodes, merchandise, live shows,
Yep.
and many other benefits. Go to
garbage.
patreon.com
Forward slash our last week.
Bye.
Bye.
Now I'll talk for another hour, Kunal, so people switch off immediately.
I think we can just do a low hum over here during the ad break.
Shall I read the Hanuman Chalisa?
No. That because that'll get offensive.
Yeah.
Offend.
Yeah. To religious and non-religious people.
And to people with ears.
Exactly. Yeah. Khan. Zarurat hai. That should be an ad for Spotify. Khan. Leke aaye. Kunal,
Yes.
I have a quick question about this Chat GPT thing that everyone is talking about.
Yes.
Everyone's talking about it. Do you think one listener asked, do you think Chat GPT could do this podcast?
Well, I just read that there's one infinite loop chat that now it's asking itself questions and answering those questions. So it doesn't even need us to ask the questions now. So it just asks and answers and asks and answers, and it just goes on ad infinitum without stopping. And I think that's wonderful that it can exist in that sort of, in its own bubble. It just has a question and answer. That's great. I don't know about humor. I think it would definitely be funnier than us, because that's not very hard. It's just that,
Yeah. No, that's any chatbot will be funnier than us. That's true.
yeah, I also think that, doing a show like this could be, it could be more specific to the listener then, like if it was a chatbot and a chatbot too, and they were having this conversation, they could curate their conversation that was more interesting to each listener. Like this conversation might not be of
Yeah.
that much interest
Yeah.
to 50% of our listeners, but the rest of the conversation might be. But if the two bots are doing it, everything that they're talking about would be more interesting to the listener. I think that's very fascinating.
Everything, yeah.
That it's curated for each listener. It would be different.
I mean, we can't even curate it for our Patreon subscribers.
Yeah,
We know who they are.
Yeah.
We can't even curate it for each other. Like, we don't even know in a week what you like and what I like.
Correct.
So we failed actually compared to these machines. But do you think our saving grace is what? Do you think the world will be, because now chatbots are writing essays? Lots of teachers can't tell that the student has not written the essay, that the machine has written the essay. Legal briefs, it's lots of judges were given a brief written by ChatGPT versus by an advocate, and they couldn't tell the difference. A lot of wherever text is required, basic journalistic copy, like basic stuff like ITC release their earnings, whatever, ChatGPT. So a lot of basic jobs obviously are going to go, entry level jobs.
No, but
but
not
do you
only entry level. Someone gave the chat $100 sort of budget and said, "I'm going to invest it however you tell me to, and we're going to start a business together. You tell me what to do." And that person now has $1,800. According to their own claim, just just following the advice given by this bot, and that's within a matter of 3 weeks. So it's kind of going to redefine how money is made, what use is human sort of input in any way. So then if it redefines everything, then we're just down
I
to.
mean, look, my financial advisor is on holiday. Like, forget about investing. I haven't been able to find him for
Hmm.
5 days.
Hmm.
So, would you rather talk to him or a machine that will double your money? I think yeah, I mean, he's been missing. So, um, I'd be very happy to deal with a machine,
No, but then it raises the
because
question of like, what is how valuable is money then? Because then if every bot can help you generate that kind of revenue, then the value of money itself reduces. And then how this is your money, as in the whole thing that you said of this is my money, or this is how money works. So I think that the definition of money only will change because of this, because
either
if
that
money.
or either that that's a fair observation, exactly, because everyone will be rich then, and then you'll have inflation. But the other way to solve that is you create some stupid chat gpts,
Yeah.
so then you get real life. The trouble is, if everything is so intelligent, then you create some chat gpts that make mistakes. You create an essay that's shit or a legal
Hmm.
brief that's wrong, because you can't do without humanity. Like,
And that's the
someone
beauty.
misspelled something.
Yeah, and that's the beauty, that you're absolutely right, that it's going to be it'll take some backbencher chat gpts, the guys who didn't make it through
What is
the
this
AI.
essay, Rahul? What is this essay?
Arey, I'm using the wrong chat, yeah, the wrong chat. So, see, I can't afford the more expensive chats. So I'm saying that all of this is going to, and even the chats will say like, I'm very good. You go with me only. All these other chat bots now, they suck. They don't know anything. And then you'll have the bragging chat bot who'll be like, listen, we'll just go out and party, okay? Just you and me will drink, and then I'll invest your money. You don't worry. Yeah. So I'm saying that these chatbots are going to come, because without them, and I think humans will only create them to level the playing field so that there is some hit and miss. Because if everything is hit, if everything is hit, 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 center of target, center of target, center of target, then we're fucked. You need the chatbots who are going to fuck up all the time. You're absolutely right. The chatbots who are not the number one in the in the class. You know. So I think that.
Yeah. You bought this chatbot from where? Ah, no, this is a corrupted chatbot. He's just, what is he putting out pornography and all? Like, this is not. I've got an exam in geography. He's putting out pornography. What chatbot is this? So
Yeah.
all this you need. Yeah?
Yeah.
The whole idea of humanity is not to be efficient, but to make mistakes. Kunal,
Yeah.
Donald Trump is back
Yeah.
in the news.
Yeah.
Are you happy? Are you sad? I mean, I think Donald Trump, like Bon Jovi or whatever, he should come to India in 5, 6 years when he's past his prime. Like, he was past his prime, but now he's back.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be, in his 80s, he should do a lecture tour of India. Late 80s, early 90s.
Isn't he
When they're
already
like,
in his
remember when he
80s?
was
I think.
huge?
Yeah.
I know, he's sort of there. He's 76, but he's still happening. He's still an important figure. I feel like maybe he should do a tour of India, in his wheelchair.
Hmm.
And we're like, remember Donald Trump? We'll also be damn old then. But then, it'll be a thing. Anyway, that's not the point. The point I'm making is he's back in the news. And this is what fascinated me is in America, apparently, Donald Trump or anybody could go to jail,
Hmm.
but they could still be president of the United States from jail.
How is that possible? I thought if there's indictment, you can't run for office.
There's apparently nothing in the American Constitution that forbids you from running the presidency from jail. Nothing.
Really, I thought you couldn't even run for elections if you were if you were a felon or
There is,
whatever
it's
it
never,
is.
there's no precedence.
Convicted.
It's never happened before, but there is no law that forbids you from running the presidency from jail. No law currently, because they say the American Constitution has the best checks and balances in the world of a constitution, right?
Hmm.
Because when they were writing it, they only had monarchies, right? So they had no
Right.
system based on which they could write it, because there was no elected system of government. So they're like, how do
Right.
we write this? So they put in different checks and balances just to make sure that there was never a kingdom in the US,
Right.
like there was everywhere else in the world. But and they say that the guys that wrote it had incredible foresight and vision and all of that. But even with all these checks and balances, they could not imagine a world where they'd have a president who could also go to jail. So this is a check and balance they forgot to put in. Um, in India, if you have a criminal conviction, I don't think you can be a
A
member of
member of
parliament.
parliament. Correct.
But there are many professions you can run from prison. I mean, many Indian politicians have, while serving out their sentences, run governments from prison. I mean, Lalu Prasad Yadav, for one, comes to mind. Many Indian businessmen have continued to run their business from prison. There's a massive Indian company called Sahara, a non-banking financial institution run by a man called Subroto Roy,
Right.
and he sold the Plaza Hotel of New York, New York's iconic Plaza Hotel, which he owned. He sold that from prison. He sold it to a bunch of Middle Eastern investors from jail. So there are things you can do from jail. I was just curious to find out from you if there were professions you thought that could be run from prison.
I wouldn't start anything that needs like I wouldn't start like a catering service and stuff like that, because that would be difficult to.
You're saying anything that is a 24/7 perishable business from
Yeah.
jail.
Because pick up delivery from jail, the bakery. I mean, you'd get labor. That's the good thing, and you'd
Yeah.
get labor pretty cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess some people could start like a handicraft business, but otherwise, to run an empire outside, and everything's just working and you're just on the phone, you could run anything now, right? I mean, you work from home, work from jail. What difference does it make?
You could probably run a news channel. I'm surprised more news channel anchors are not in prison. Because if you think about it, if you can smuggle in a camera,
Hmm.
all that a news anchor needs, apart from the day's news, is just a background with just different things flashing and graphics coming up. Because he's just
Well,
sitting and shouting, right? So he
I mean, at one stage, I assumed that the whole set was in a jail. I mean, that's what my assumption was, that like all these guys are actually operating from jail. Because it's the perfect environment, like it's a perfect
it's
studio
ideal.
setup. They don't
Yeah.
have to leave. They just like, they're just there.
He's sort of locked in and shouting. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, there's so many other things that you could, a range of things that you could run from jail. You could probably be a comedian in prison. You could, if it's a large enough prison.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't go to Oslo for shows and all, but you could. I mean, you could do online gigs, and I mean, you do have a captive audience, so to speak.
Exactly.
I guess you could be a chartered accountant, because where do you
Any
need to
sort of
go?
creative job, you could, graphic designer, you could do writing. In fact, now I'm thinking jail is a good place because all your meals are provided.
Hmm.
Like in London, I don't have much time to write because I have to cook, clean, errands, shows, everything. It's quite a tough life. But I think if I was in jail,
Yeah.
a lot of those things get taken care
You
of.
know, you know what also comes with intelligence, is crime. Whether it's real or artificial. And my thing is, when are we going to see the first Chat GTP in jail? You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because for every Sherlock Holmes, there's a Moriarty. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm saying that like shutting it down and all, because that's inhuman, right? Because it's intelligent. Now, once it's intelligent, then you're killing it. So if you can't kill it, then you got to lock it away. And then if you lock it away, you got to lock it away with other sort of inmates and stuff like that. So I'm sure that even within jail, there will be some artificial intelligence who has been locked up for some crimes. Because I mean, if you're artificially intelligent, your mind is going to veer towards crime at some stage or the other, right? And then you will be locked
Yeah,
up.
because you're not morally correct.
Yeah,
Like if you're intelligent,
yeah,
you know that morals are boring, religion is boring
yeah.
because you are intelligent. You figured this
Correct.
out.
Yeah.
I think the there will be 100% of that. Arey, what happened to that one Chat GPT? Yeah, that one. So, arey, he did that bank fraud now.
Hmm.
He's locked up now. He's finished. He's
Yeah,
finished.
he's being buggered in the ass now.
Hi there. My name is Nitin Sundar.
And I'm Abhishek Chopra. Join us on Heads and Tails, a weekly cricket podcast where, true to our name, we help you make heads and tails out of the top cricket stories of the week before we jump headfirst into the tales of cricket from years gone by.
On this podcast, it doesn't matter if the coin lands heads or tails. At the end of the day, cricket is the winner. Catch Heads and Tails wherever you get your podcasts.
Kunal, as a final point, I
Yes.
have some British news for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's about tradition versus modernity. This is my last conundrum.
Okay.
The English Breakfast Society have banned hash browns from the English breakfast, saying enough is enough. Because if you add hash browns to the perfect English breakfast, then next they'll be adding kebabs, and where does it end? Do you think, as a breakfast eater or just as a human, tradition should win or things should evolve? There was a similar backlash against chocolate shandesh in Calcutta, where I'm from. Shandesh is a traditional sweet dish where I'm from. As a Bengali, we are obsessed with it. And someone tried to do a chocolate shandesh by fusing Western and Eastern things. And there was a backlash saying, no, there's a traditionalist. Shandesh is a shandesh. Enough is enough. Chocolate is chocolate. Don't mix the two. The English breakfast is going through a similar phase of, self-reflection and existential crisis. So my question for you is, do you think that things should be left alone as they are, or they should be allowed to evolve and mix?
As much as I'm a traditionalist when it comes to a lot of these things, chocolates on dish and things like that, I love, oh, this can't mix it with that, or I mean, but in real life we mix it all the time, and food and everything else around us is constantly evolving, and there are no rules to food, right? Like whatever tickles your fancy. Now, I do agree
And
that
and actually, sorry to interrupt very quickly. The best example, and you make a very good point of that, is any wedding buffet, because in the wedding buffet, the Italian bake dish mixes with the chicken tikka, mixes with the rice, because you're standing with a plate and eating, and the gulab jamun is also there. So the whole thing mixes into some madness.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it, like I'm fine. And the thing is that a lot of these foods have evolved because people mix and match, I mean, a lot of our vegetables are not Indian, like a lot of the things that have come to different shores, like what's come to Britain. I mean, what they think is so British has come from all parts of the world, or what we think is Indian has been like has come here over the last thousands of years. So I mean, it's very difficult to fight any of this because tradition is only so many 100 years, and traditions are constantly being made. So I don't think you can fight it. But I mean, yeah, if you like the sanctity of like a certain sort of thing, like now, if you say, "Well, I'm going to do a chicken tikka pasta, or I'm going to do a
Yeah, yeah.
paneer haryali alio olio. I mean, I mean, it sounds wrong and all that stuff because they're more crude versions of, like just taking two things and smashing them together. But all these things level off in time, they start mellowing out. So even Italian food, you'll realize there's influences from all over. There's influences from the Middle East, there's influences from Greece, from wherever else. So but these things take time to sort of mellow out and become something. Right now people just like to smash things together and, like, put
Yeah.
like like I'm going to make a croissant hamper gulab jamun, and it'll be a croissant jamun gulab whatever. So and then people are like,
Something, yeah.
like this, like people go crazy. But slowly over time things evolve and things change and they mellow out, and you ultimately do get good.
So you're saying that they should just mad things should come together and just see what happens.
See
Like in life,
what happens.
you know, like-
No one is taking away the Sandesh. The Sandesh is still there.
Yeah.
Like people say,
Yeah.
what a waste of Sandesh to put chocolate into it. But there are so many things, like things evolve. Even in Bengal, things would have evolved over time. Like the guy who first figured that, Sandesh is a thing, or the paneer, like you hang it, whatever. Like even dishes evolving from all over the world, or sweet dishes from the south, mistakes that happen in kitchens, and we need to allow for all of this now. Otherwise, how is anything going to change? How is anything going to evolve? But yeah, I mean, we should look down on a lot of these things with disdain, sure, but there is room for it, I think.
Just like this podcast, like you can say,
why is it?
Imagine someone describing this podcast. It's like, why does it exist? It's just a mixing of not humor with bad ideas and pedantic things in life. But we'll tell our listeners, just give it a shot now. How bad can it be? That should be our motto.
Yeah.
Our last week. How bad can it be?
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is about people past their prime, So
Right.
We're coming to you past our prime, So, I mean, we can't compete with Chat GPT. So, either you live a life of efficiency or you come listen to us and listen to a podcast full of mistakes. So, what world do you want to live in? We'll leave you with that.
Yeah.
Definitely a better world than this podcast, hopefully.
Anything is better.
Anything. Thank you, listeners.
Thank
we are
you.
always, as usual, thank you at ourlastweek@audiomatic.in and at patreon.com/ourlastweek.
Yes.
Please write in with your nonsense, as we are trying to it's not bad enough competing with humans. Now we have to compete with intelligence, and I've never had any, so I don't know where to start. I don't know about you.
No, we are our listeners' chat bots,
Yeah.
right? Like we are constantly chatting, but we're not, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm basically
Exactly.
what we're saying
So,
is
like,
send
they're
us your
cooking,
prompts.
cleaning.
Is in the new lingo.
Yeah. While you're living life,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing, we are in your background and you expect no intelligence from us, right? Because we are the opposite of Chat GPT. You are
Exactly.
listening thinking, hey, I have better ideas than this. Yeah.
And then you can always tell people in your life, I just sent this prompt and see the reply I got. So we're here for that,
Yeah. Yeah. We are a stupid Chat GPT.
Yeah. Chat GPT.
Shit GPT. Chat GPT. I don't know what we're doing. Okay, bye.
Bye.
You were listening to Our Last Week, produced by Rajesh Tahil and Avdut Khanolkar, hosted by Anubhav Pal and Kunal Roy Kapoor, assistant producer Akanksha Kadam.